Right now, while the Iran war headlines have your attention, 7 invisible financial traps are quietly draining an estimated $5,400 from the average American household. Not over a decade, over the next 6 months. For someone earning median income, that's roughly $30 disappearing every single day you don't see them coming. By the time most people notice, they've already fallen into at least 3. Let me show you exactly what they are. Here's what most people believe right now. The biggest financial threat from this war is gas prices. And look, yeah, paying $4 a gallon stings, but gas is the one cost you can see. Your brain grabs that visible number on the pump and files the whole situation under "this is the problem." Meanwhile, the real damage, it's behavioral. It's the decisions you're making because of the fear, not the prices themselves. My name is Ashton, and I spend way too much time at 3 a.m. reading about the dumb ways fear makes smart people broke. If you're someone who actually wants to protect your money during this mess instead of just doom scrolling about it, hit subscribe, because this one is going to change how you see the next 6 months. I call them the 7 bleed points, 7 specific behavioral traps that wars activate in your financial brain. They're not random, they follow a pattern, and most people never get past recognizing the first 2. Here's the thing. Bleed point number 6 is the one that's quietly wrecking people who think they're being careful. Specifically, people who believe they've found a safe place for their money. We'll get there, but first, let me show you what makes the whole chain possible. Here's the surprising part. According to Investopedia's analysis of LPL research data, the average S&P 500 decline after a major geopolitical shock is about 5%, and the average recovery time? 28 days, not months. Days. But here's the math that kills people. A visual capitalist study found that investors who stayed fully invested in the S&P 500 from 2003 to 2022 turned $10,000 into $64,844. Those who missed just the 10 best trading days, most of which happened right after the worst days, ended up with $29,708. That's a 54% reduction in returns from missing 10 days. For someone with a median retirement portfolio, panic selling during a 5% war dip and missing the bounce back works out to roughly $6.85 per day in locked-in losses, compounding quietly for years. Your brain screams, sell everything, protect what's left. That's loss aversion. Losses feel about twice as painful as equivalent gains feel good. So you react to a 5% drop like it's a 10% emergency. And by the time you feel safe enough to buy back in, you've missed the recovery window entirely. But that's just the bleed you can see. The one that actually drains most households, that's next. Here's what most people completely miss. When things feel scary, your instinct is to hoard cash. Savings account, checking account, under the mattress. I don't judge. It feels safe. But the OECD just warned that U.S. inflation might hit 4.2% in 2026 because of the Iran war oil spike. Think about that like a slow leak in a tire. If you've got $10,000 sitting in a standard savings account earning effectively 0%, which after taxes and fees, many accounts functionally do, inflation at 4.2% is silently eating $420 of your purchasing power this year. For someone on median income, that's approximately $1.15 a day. Every day, that cash sits safe and does nothing. It's like this. Imagine you put groceries in a fridge, but the fridge is unplugged. Everything looks fine for a few days. Then one morning you open it and, yeah, that's your cash at 0% during 4.2% inflation. It's spoiling. You just can't smell it yet. And if that sounds bad, what comes next is genuinely uncomfortable. This is where it gets genuinely uncomfortable. A Finder survey reported that roughly 1/3 of U.S. adults now identify as preppers, spending a combined $11 billion a year on survival supplies. And that was before the Iran war kicked off. Here's the behavioral trap: scarcity mindset. When your brain perceives a genuine threat, it flips into acquire now, think later mode. So you're buying a $400 generator, $200 in freeze-dried meals, and a $150 water filtration system in the same week, not because you calculated the need, but because the fear of not having them feels worse than the cost. Say someone has $200 of wiggle room per month. They drop $800 on Doomsday supplies in a panic weekend. Now they're floating $600 on a credit card at 22% APR. 3 months later, the war de-escalates, the generator sits in the garage, the interest doesn't. The contrast is vivid. 2 neighbors, same income. One spent $800 on impulse prepper gear they'll never use. The other spent $150 on a reasonable emergency kit and put $650 into a high-yield savings account. 12 months later, the difference, after interest and avoided debt, is close to $1,000. Okay, stop for a second. Here's something that hasn't come up yet. According to a Dayforce study, 1 in 4 American workers reduced their retirement contributions in 2025, and Vanguard data shows 401k hardship withdrawals hit 6%, triple the pre-pandemic rate. This isn't about the stock market. This is about people quietly dismantling their future because the present feels too expensive. If you've made it this far, you already think differently than most people about money. That's not a compliment, it's a fact. Most people clicked away before this part. Now, here's the number. For someone earning median income and pausing just their 401k contribution, not even touching the existing balance, the combined cost of lost contributions, lost employer match, and lost compound growth works out to roughly $14.25 per day. Every day, the contributions stay paused. That's the highest daily bleed in this entire video, and most people experiencing it right now have no idea. In a moment, I'm going to show you the one simple move that separates people who lose $5,400 over the next 6 months from people who keep it. And honestly, it's not what you think. Bleed point number 4, the fuel panic. AAA data shows gas is up nearly 80 cents per gallon in the last month, so people are topping off constantly, driving across town for 3-cent savings, even filling extra containers. That extra driving and overfueling, it costs more than the savings. It's anchoring bias. Your brain fixates on the per gallon number and ignores the total behavior cost. Bleed point number 5, the plan abandonment. This is the one nobody sees coming. You don't just stop investing, you stop planning. The budget gets shelved, the debt payoff timeline gets abandoned. Status quo bias kicks in. When everything feels uncertain, doing nothing feels like the safest option. It's not. It's the most expensive option. You just don't get the bill until later. Bleed point number 6, the scam safe haven. The FTC reported $15.9 billion in consumer fraud losses in 2025, with $7.9 billion in investment scams alone. During wartime, scammers specifically market crisis-proof investments, fake gold schemes, fraudulent commodities funds, phony crypto war hedges. Your fear makes their pitch sound reasonable. If someone promises guaranteed returns during a war, that's not a safe haven. That's a trap with a marketing budget. Bleed point number 7, the revenge spend. LendingTree found that 63% of Americans say emotions influence their purchases, and 43% of emotional spenders have gone into debt because of it. During war anxiety, this shows up as treat-yourself spending, because if the world might end, why not? Present bias takes over. The future feels fake, so only today's comfort matters. Your credit card statement next month will feel very real. Look, the people who get wrecked by wartime aren't the ones who know the least about money. They're the ones who react the most. Every single one of these 7 traps has the same root, your emotional brain making financial decisions that should belong to your rational brain. The fact that you're watching a 7-minute video about wartime money traps instead of panic refreshing CNN tells you something. Most people never get curious enough to look this closely. You already did. I call what you're building right now the anti-fragile wallet, a financial position that doesn't just survive chaos, it actually gets stronger because of it. While everyone else is bleeding from 7 invisible cuts, you're the one with the bandages and the plan. So what do you actually do about this? Because understanding the traps is the first half. The part that actually changes your financial life is what comes next. Quick note, these are general strategies based on median income data and current conditions. Your specific numbers depend on where you live, what you earn, and your situation. The steps are real. The numbers are illustrative. For anything specific to you, a financial advisor is worth the conversation. Step 1. The 72-hour sell rule. Before selling any investment during a crisis, set a mandatory 72-hour cooling period. Write down why you want to sell. If the reason is, I'm scared, that's your answer. Don't. History shows the recovery averages 28 days. Your panic lasts about 72 hours. Step 2, the inflation audit. Open every account where cash is sitting. If the interest rate is below 4%, move it today. A high-yield savings account or short-term treasury takes 10 minutes to set up. That's $1.15 per day you stop losing, based on median figures. Still with me? Good, because this next one is the one that actually compounds. Step 3, the contribution lock. Call your HR department or open your 401k app and lock your contribution rate. Don't reduce it, don't pause it. If anything, this is the time to increase it by even 1%. You're buying assets at a discount during a dip. That's roughly $14 a day in future wealth you're protecting. Step 4, the scam tripwire. Any investment opportunity that arrives during a crisis, promising guaranteed safety or war-proof returns, gets one test. Is it registered with the SEC? If you can't verify it on investor.gov in under 2 minutes, it's not an opportunity, it's a trap. Step 5, the $50 pressure valve. Budget $50 a month, exactly $50, for stress spending. No guilt, no judgment, but that's the cap. Give the emotional spending a container so it doesn't flood everything else. Mental accounting usually works against you. Here, you're making it work for you. Here's the thing. This video isn't really about war. It's about what fear does to your wallet when you're not paying attention. Wars end. They always do. But the financial habits you build during one, those stick around for decades. The difference between people who come out of a crisis stronger and people who spent 3 years recovering isn't intelligence. It's awareness of the traps while they're still active. Someone like Marcus doesn't act on any of this. He panic sells during the next dip, lets his cash erode at 0%, impulse buys $800 in gear he won't use, pauses his 401k for just a few months, and copes with stress shopping on a credit card. The cost? Approximately $5,400 over 6 months. That's about $30 a day, quietly, consistently, invisibly. Someone like Dana does act. Same income, same war, same fear. She sets the 72-hour sell rule, moves her cash to a 4.5% account, locks her 401k contributions, and gives herself a $50 a month pressure valve. The difference? That same $5,400 kept, working for her instead of bleeding out. Same money, 2 directions. You don't need to predict how this war ends. You don't need to become a financial expert overnight. You just need to see the 7 invisible cuts and stop the bleeding on the ones you can control. That's what the anti-fragile wallet actually is. Not perfection, awareness. And honestly, that's how you stop being one of the people who looks back 6 months from now and says, I didn't even realize how much I lost. Tell me in the comments, which of the 7 bleed points hit you the hardest? Because if it's number 5, the plan abandonment, you're not alone, and that's exactly where most people should start. If this changed how you see your money during this mess, subscribe. I make these every week, and the next one is about the 3 numbers that actually predict whether you'll be okay in a recession, and none of them are your salary.